Hello retro fans. As kind of announced in the vlog introduction video, this is going to be the first video I'm trying to produce in this some sort of style, and it is I think the topic fits very well to what I have in mind, because I'm still in the middle of it. I'm still in progress of getting this ready. And therefore it's a very good time to talk about this topic already. And well, yeah, let's jump directly to my desk so that we can see what I'm talking about. And as the title has announced already, I'm sort of trying to print cases for the 1581 Commodore drive replica. I mean, it's going to fit for a normal original drive as well. So if you have a damaged case or something like this, this might be an option. And I have to admit, I have a bit underestimated the task, so to say. And I went through some interesting learnings I'd like to share, and I want to show you how much progress I have made so far. So this 3D model is available on printables, so the Prusa 3D printing object sharing platform, and I think it's on Thingiverse as well. I'm not sure about this. I got this from printables, so to say. And it consists of a couple of parts. I haven't done all of them yet, so actually I'm still in the middle of it. And I did some testing with different nozzle sizes, because I mean, can imagine that parts like this will take some time to print. And so I thought this would be a very nice test to print this with bigger nozzles, so 0.6 or 0.8 millimeters. And yeah, as I said, I had some interesting learnings. And actually this lid, or the top part of it, is actually the first one I have printed. And as you can see, there is some smudge and some strange color here and there. And this is actually one of the things I have some sort of experienced. My printer bed wasn't completely clean, and so this lid, this surface, picked up some leftovers on the structured printer bed. So as you can see, it is not smooth. It's not flat, it has some structure. And within this structure there was some, well, I think leftover material, which was quite hard to spot because it had almost the very same color like the printer bed itself. And these reddish parts came from the nozzle. It wasn't completely clean. Not the nozzle itself, but the surrounding of the nozzle. So I had printed reddish material, and there was some remaining material on the nozzle. And when it became hot, it melted into the normal filament stream and contaminated this lid. Since this is the top side, it is some sort of disastrous, but fortunately the guy I'm printing this for is able to do some rework on this cases, and he's probably just going to paint this in some way, so it's not a waste of material, and it's still a nice looking case. And the next thing I had printed was the bottom part, and I thought, well, let's see how this is going to work with the 0.8 millimeter nozzle. I set this to the quality settings in Prusa Slicer, and yeah, the printer was doing its best, I think, but as we can see, either the settings aren't perfectly tuned in, or the model isn't really fitting to 0.8 millimeters. And I have to say the model itself is a little bit unprintable, or let's say it, or let's put it in this words. It's hard to print because the creator of this 3D files followed very heavily the original shape of the 1581, which is, well, nice. It's not something I'm going to criticize or something like this. But 3D printers really don't like overhangs like this. And I would have changed the models in a way that this is going to be a different angle to avoid this round shaped edge here. Because as we can see, it is really not nice. It is really just kind of sort of falling down a little bit. If you look from the side, a little bit hard to spot, I just recognize. And I had to print this with support material, and this hardly comes out beautiful. So and as we can see, the material has created some sort of a stringing as well. So I think the material flow rate for the 0.8 millimeter nozzle isn't perfect. So I may have to adjust this a little bit. And as you can see, printing the back part of the lower part of the case creates some overhang troubles here as well. So this isn't far away from being very nice. But as I said, the guy I'm doing this for is able to do some rework on the cases. So even this isn't wasted, I think so. And due to this learning, I printed the next lower part with the 0.6 millimeter nozzle. And I have used support material all around, even here from the back part. I haven't removed it completely, so this is just some remains from the support material. But as you can see, the top part came out a bit better, still not perfect, but well, it is tricky to print. And yeah, I haven't changed the model. I did some testing. So in order to improve the print quality, I sliced out a part of the bottom, well, case, and did some test printing with different nozzles, different printing settings with or without support. And as you can see, without support it isn't working at all. So this was some sort of unusable. Same here. And then I started to, let me find the right part. To change the model a little bit so that there is some sort of a angled area or something like this to avoid this huge overhang. And this has improved printing quality a bit. Here we can see the difference. So this is very just, it is very rough. It is just hanging down. And here it looks a bit better. But as you can see, as soon as we go into this round part, we have the same problem. And as I said, I would like to change the model that this is going to be 45-degree angle up to the half of the round part here. And this would avoid all those troubles, and you do not need to print this with support, and it would look much better than this. So that's probably something I'm going to edit on this case. And here I did a a longer test, because if you print small parts like this, you run into the problem that the time the printer spends on each layer becomes pretty short, and therefore the material has no chance to cool down, and the printer comes for the next layer and adds new hard material on top of it, and then the material simply just bends down because it is not completely well hardened, or it's not cold enough to become hard, whatever we want to call this. So I did the test with a bigger piece, and as we can see, it has improved a little bit, but as soon as we come to the bottom of this round shaped edge, the troubles are back in town, so to say. And that's usually my way to fine-tune parts like this. Just as orientation, I think this has printed in about 6.5 hours or something like this, or 7.5. I'm actually not sure, but somewhere in this range, so to say. The 0.8 millimeter bottom part was done in 4.5 hours, I think so, something around this. And the 0.6 millimeter nozzle part was around 8-ish hours, something 7:45 or something like this. Actually haven't remembered this. And yeah, the whole drive consists of even more parts. So we have the front part as well. So this looks like, this is how it looks like when it is fresh off the printer, with all the support material still in place. And that's something I need to remove. And then I can test whether this is going to fit on top or in front of this case. And indeed, we need a couple of small parts for the bottom of the, not the bottom, but the button of the floppy drive. But in the middle of this process, we decided to print the face plates for PC floppy drives, and they come with an own face plate whatsoever. I have no idea how this is called. Whereas the original drives used, they do not have this front part, and this overall case front part, so many front parts, is going to look a little bit different. And I think most of those things I have printed here are required for the original drive version, but well, these are very small parts. This was done about 30 minutes or something like this. And yeah, and what I want to mention as well is this is the very first time I have used this material. This was actually a recommendation at the forum 64 when we were discussing filament types that look very beigeish, or at least very close to the original C64 color, whatever it is. It has a specific RAL code, which I have forgotten already, but the recommendation was to go for this filament from Azure Film, and it is called PETG Nude, so not safe for work probably. But this is this retroish color, and I have tested some other beige filaments in the past, PLA filaments, 2 different types, and they were either too bright or too yellowish. And this one really has a very nice retro tint whatsoever, and I can recommend this one. It is actually not a 1000 gram spool, it's a 750, 780 gram spool, because that's total white. So I run into the problem that I run out of filament. So I had to reorder another spool, and the recommendation about the temperature is quite right. I think it's a bit on the high side depending on your nozzle. I'm using the Revo 6 rapid change nozzle, which comes with a different heater element, which has way more power than the original heater element on the Prusa nozzle. And I think I have to lower the temperature a little bit to get rid of this stringing. And I think then the material will be really fine to print things related to retro computers. It is very robust. It's really, I'm surprised how stiff these cases are, and the material itself is really very nice to work with. So, and it's not so expensive at all. I think a spool is about 25 euros or something like this. It's not the cheapest of the materials available on the market, but I usually spend a few euros more on the material to have less troubles, because I made some bad experience with cheap materials in the past, especially if you want to print something that needs to look nice, or if you don't want to print it a couple of times, and if it's not just for decoration or something like this, then well, I think that's actually a good idea. So what's missing actually is a part inside the case where the electronics and the floppy drive itself is mounted. That's going to be printed over the weekend now. And indeed, I have to print another lid so that we have at least 2 complete cases in different quality stages, so to say. And I may need to print the bottom part with the 0.6 millimeter nozzle again to get rid of those ugly overhangs. And as you can see, the printer had really some sort of a hard time. Let me find an angle where this is actually visible. So this surface is not smooth. This is not really one how to call this. This is not just one surface. It has some variation in depth, so to say. And this is very interesting because this phenomenon isn't as visible here. Here it is almost invisible. So as you can see, this is really just one layer or something like this. There is some echoing around those round parts. So here you can see the printer had indeed some troubles to find back to the correct position. And there's a small difference here between those 2 parts, but I think that's completely fine. Overall, I'm really impressed about the quality. If you look at the side parts, they look almost perfectly, and there are no layers visible, something like this. There are no huge differences. There are some sort of micro bumps, but I think they add really nicely to the non-smooth effect of the structured bed. So yep, that's actually what I'm in the middle of. I had to postpone this for about a week now because of the heat. You may imagine it's really not fun to print parts for 6 to 8 hours if you have already 27, 28 degrees in Celsius in your room and you can't exchange the air because outside it's even warmer. And I can't print overnight because the printer is in the room next door to my bedroom, and I have to open all the windows and the doors overnight to get the temperature in some sort of comfortable range. And you may imagine sleeping next to a 3D printer isn't something that's really preferable. So yeah, anyway, I had to paused this for a while, and as I said, I ran out of material, so I had to reorder material. And yeah, so that's actually what I have to say about this project. As soon as I'm done with all the parts, I will provide a short update, and probably I'm going to receive a couple of pictures how this whole thing is going to be completed. And yeah, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and see you next time. Bye bye.